A.
Aerodynamics. And looking at this big A, I think we have to, it rather stands for Adrian rather than aerodynamics. Obviously, he's our guru.
If you go back to the early 60s, then up until that point, the emphasis on aerodynamics had purely been on drag reduction. Nobody had properly considered that if the car created downforce, then that would push it into the ground and give the tyres more grip.
Which inside the car just feels fantastic if you have a lot of downforce.
Since then, the rate of development has been huge.
The amount of grip the car can produce is really what makes the drivers these days enjoy Formula One.
Can be the make and break of the season.
B.
Boobies. Braking.
Brakes are one of the most impressive aspects of a Formula One car.
It's the thing that blew me away most when driving an F1 car the first time, how quickly you stop.
For instance, if a car is travelling at 300 kilometres per hour, that's roughly 200 miles an hour, then it will come to a complete rest in around 4 seconds.
Everyone thinks you've got to go fast by pushing the throttle, but the technique used when braking can make you very fast as well around the track.
The brakes are a fundamental part of it, and braking distances every year get ever shorter.
C.
CFD, computational fluid dynamics. To make it simple, it's a big computer that basically calculates the changes you do in terms of aerodynamic on the car.
With the wind tunnel model, then you physically have to manufacture the wind tunnel parts, test it on the model, analyse the results. With CFD, you can have results the next day.
We don't have much testing on the track, so it's really important back at the factory to work on that.
D.
DRS.
Drag reduction system.
DRS is a way of making overtaking easier.
I think because we had it now a couple of years, we understand how it works. Basically, it opens the rear wing to make the cars go faster. We have a trigger on the steering wheel, which we can pull.
Overtake is not guaranteed, I'm glad to say, but it does make it easier.
We, in a way, learn to love it or learn to hate it, depending on where you are, in front or behind. But I think generally it's positive.
E.
Engines.
That's really the heart of the car.
This year we've got a big regulation change, so going from a V8 to a V6 engine with a turbocharger and an energy recovery system on it is very, very different, and of course sounds quite a bit different.
The fuel consumption as well will not be easy this year because we will have a lot less fuel during all the races.
A critical element, and the integration of the engine and the cooling of the engine is one of the big challenges for the 2014 season.
F.
Flyaways.
Obviously, Formula One happens everywhere around the world. To get there, you need to jump on a plane. F could also stand for frequent traveller.
Yeah, logistically, it's hard for the teams. You know, they have to pack all the cars, all the equipment in containers, basically. They have to be very organised and precise, but it's part of the fun.
G.
Gears.
Compared to the normal road car, when you shift up the gears in Formula One, it is way quicker.
We've got 8 this year, as if it wasn't hard enough with 7. But one more, you know, trying to get all that power down.
We are not allowed anymore to change the ratios during the year. So, for instance, in Monza, we would use all 8 gears, and in Monaco, we would use only 6 gears because the speed at the end of the straight would be much lower.
H. So, H for helmet.
With the helmet, you can definitely recognize the driver inside the car, and it reflects your personality.
When I was young, I had a couple of favorites, such as Senna, but also quite like Damon Hill.
Michael Schumacher with some stars on the top.
I keep changing my designs nearly every race.
It's definitely something you can play with.
A nice way to, express myself. Interlagos.
One of the most fantastic racetracks on the calendar.
Yeah, it just seems to be a crazy place. In combination with the fans, the weather, the fact that most of the time it's the last race of the season.
And always produces incredible races.
You can have many ups and downs in the same race. Best example, obviously, we had a crazy race in 2012. Yeah, the worst possible start, but a very sweet finish.
Very happy memories there, having won the World Championship.
It's just a place where everything is possible.
Jay?
Juniors.
Well, the junior program is a key part of Red Bull's development of young drivers. Daniel Ricciardo and Sebastian Vettel are both products of the junior team.
I was part of it right from the beginning. When Red Bull started with Red Bull Racing in Formula One, obviously there was one big goal to look up to, and yeah, it's a fantastic story. Now I'm standing here, being able to talk about it, so obviously the junior team has proven very successful. With Daniel, obviously you got another perfect example that the system works, and hopefully there's more drivers coming in the future, but I hope not too soon.
K.
Kinetic energy recovery system.
Which no longer exists in 2014. KERS has now become ERS. The energy recovery system, which now represents almost 25% of the engine's power.
You know what we're like, we just want to go faster, and that helps us, so I love it. L.
Lights. So at the start of the race, we've got 5 lights. They come one after the other. And for the driver, it's a tough moment.
The intensity when we're on the grid and you see 1 light, 2, all the way light up to 5.
There is a lot of adrenaline coming on. You have to do so many things on the steering wheel to get the car ready to start the race.
It's such a balance between control, obviously trying to get the reaction time going, and anger, I guess, ready to attack the first corner as soon as they go out.
And when the lights goes out, you just start.
M. Models, and specifically wind tunnel models, are something that is key to our aerodynamic development. From that we can evaluate different parts. Anything that we find is a benefit, we will then attempt to incorporate onto the real car. The timescale from that can be anything from 1 day, if it's a small part, right through to fundamental research for the following year's car, which typically might start in something like April or May, ready for its inaugural outing and testing in January.
N.
Night racing.
So night races will have Singapore, Abu Dhabi and Bahrain.
As a driver point of view, I would say it's really spectacular.
Obviously you don't turn up with a dark visor because you don't see that much.
Maybe in terms of focus, it's a bit more difficult.
You need to focus a little bit harder because it is a bit darker than at daytime. But yeah, all in all, I think it's just spectacular for everyone around the track, but also us inside the cars. I think we all enjoy.
O. Ops room. The ops room is our mission control room, so it saves us a great deal of money, not needing to take engineers to the trackside, but they're able to follow the data on the car, the radio, the telemetry, just as if they were at the circuit.
P. Pit stop. A handful of time could be lost or gained in the pits, like we're fighting each lap on the track, 1/10, 2/10 of a second. In a pit stop you can lose 1 second, 2 seconds. It's very, very important.
For Red Bull, we've broken several records in the last 12 months, going for the first time below 2 seconds, 1.84 seconds, setting a new world record.
It's not that frustrating because you're coming in for something better. I guess you're coming in for new rubber, so it's always nice leaving the pits with that. You pull out, you got fresh tyres and get a few fast laps into you. What starts with Q?
Qualifying.
I didn't think that one through. As intense as the race, I think qualifying is, a lot of the time you got one lap, and that can set up your weekend.
Very important to get the concentration, the focus right, and to make sure that you have no mistakes and you get the maximum out of yourself, out of the car.
The car is with the freshest rubber, the lowest amount of fuel, and that's when you can really see what it's all about.
Yeah, big challenge, but a moment I think that I really enjoy because you can feel the tension when it all comes down to that one final lap.
It's an intense, very intense part of the weekend, but one that many drivers enjoy, including myself. R.
Regulations.
Also for Ricardo, well, you've got technical regulations which you know, the team have to abide by, and then you've got sporting regulations, which is for us drivers, you know, to make sure we're racing fairly on the track, and whether it's yellow flags, whether it's blocking or whatever, and that's what regulations are for.
S.
Simulator.
I do a lot of work on the simulator for the team, and the reason is that we cannot test as much as we used to do. So we've got to find a way to continue testing new parts, and the simulator is definitely the best tool we have.
We can simulate any circuit in the world, we can simulate any condition, any development that we want to introduce onto the car.
For example, if we go to the racetrack, it would take a long time to change things like the wheelbase. If we are in a simulator, in 2 minutes we can change it. So it's definitely something that helps us test a lot more than what we would actually do on a normal test day.
T.
Testicles.
Testing.
It's our chance to make better the car, basically.
One of the most important bits of the whole season. There's no prize that you're paying yet if you underperform. Equally, if you overperform, you don't get a trophy and you don't get to spray champagne.
It's our chance to understand what makes it go quicker around the track.
The biggest demand is to make sure that you give the right feedback, to tell the engineers, try to make them understand what you feel and what needs to be changed. It helps you, helps the whole team to have a more competitive package.
U.
Undercut.
Okay, so you might not know what it is, but I'm sure you would hear it a lot on TV.
Undercut is a term that we use in race strategy, so it's when you're approaching a pit stop, do you pit early?
And with those new tires, you can basically lap quicker, around normally 2 seconds, and it basically helps you to gain a position.
And therefore undercut your opponent.
If you do it too much, you might have to stop one more time, so it's really important just to find the right compromise.
V.
Battle?
Vehicle dynamics. Is the set of mathematical equations that describes the motion and the forces acting on a vehicle. One of our key engineering disciplines.
W.
Weight.
So weight in Formula One is really important.
The lighter you are, more performance, basically.
The weight limit increased to 690 kilos, which is 50 kilos more than last year. And yeah, every team is fighting to get a very light car.
And it's the same for us drivers. We want to be light, but strong enough to be able to hold on to the car and not have our head falling off.
X.
X-ray, xylophone, Xavier, Xena Warrior Princess. I was going to say extreme wets, but that would be E, not X. Has anyone guessed it? Give me a clue. F1 history.
X-wings.
What? What? X-wings.
Within Formula One, obviously, there's some weird and wacky ideas that sometimes come out. X-wings are certainly ugly. I don't like putting ugly things on the car. Obviously, if they bring performance, then you have to do so. They're somewhat dubiously banned on the grounds of safety, I think mainly because there's no regulation that says that ugly things should be automatically banned.
Y. Yaw.
Yaw is the motion of the car moving around on its vertical axis.
as in modern Formula One, aerodynamics are the most important point. You can imagine you do a lot of stuff when the car is going straight, but also quite a lot trickier when the car is in yaw, so basically when it's turning, what the aerodynamics are doing. So I think the rest I'll leave to Adrian. Z.
Z pinning, which we're using composites. Z, what else? Zirconium, but probably not zirconium. I think you're going to have to give me a clue on this one.
Zeltweg.
Ah, okay. No, I wouldn't have got that.
It's a special Grand Prix for Red Bull, for the whole Red Bull family, to have a Grand Prix in Austria. It's a great circuit in the middle of the Alps, which is very, very special. There's a lot of up and down as a driver. It's very enjoyable. I've raced there in the past. I think it will be a great experience. Lots of people supposed to be there, so very, very much looking forward. Yeah, it's a very, very nice event.